Hey there folks, how's it going? RedMaster here and welcome to Cards and Castles 2. That's right, the sequel has finally dropped. It is now live over on Steam for you to purchase for yourself. Early access is I think around $20 USD if I remember correctly. And yeah, it's finally here folks. The sequel that has been teased and hyped for what feels like a few years now is finally live, and oh man, I can't wait to get more into this thing, man. Already seeing some people in day one doing a ton of fun and cool things, and I'm really looking forward for it. But, yeah, obviously, there is some stuff to go over here. This video is titled the Day 1 Experience overall, so let's go ahead and break down what this video is going to be doing for you real quick. The idea that this video is going to give to you is basically how you, as a player, can experience your day 1 in Cards and Castles 2, what you can do to help get yourself set up, and how you can proceed forward with the game. Seeing as how most people, including myself now, are in this sort of day 1 environment, we've been given, you know, a set amount of resources here, we've got certain options that we can look into. There's some confusion on where to go and what to do, because unlike the first game, this one doesn't really give you tutorial missions right out of the gate here. It kind of gives you the main menu and it says have at it, and so that can be a little intimidating for players at first glance. I certainly agree with that, but hopefully this video should break it down, make it a little more easier to show you what you guys can do, as well as giving you a slight review, or small review, I don't know why I said slight, small review at the end. So that way you can get an idea if this game is worth it for you to buy now. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. And yes, I know my camera's not in the right spot, but I'm still trying to figure this out. So when you open up the game, of course, there are a couple of options you can go for right out of the gate: campaign, battle, and deck builder. There are also the settings and your profile picture, which you can click on and change a little bit more on the cosmetic side, and adjust some settings if you want to. But these 3 buttons down here, the campaign, the battle, and the deck builder, are going to be your main options here to click into. Now, of course, campaign relates more to the single player experience, that sort of wider story that's been kind of shown off a bit here on the channel, as well as over on the CNC official channel. You've got the battle, which is the multiplayer of this game. It's sort of the way you can interact with other players here, open things like lobbies, which my lobby was still going strong apparently with players. And then of course you've got the deck builder, which I think my camera is kind of in the way of right now, but I'm going to scoot it over real quick. You see the deck builder right there. That is where you could of course click into to go through all the cards currently in the game, go through your collection, your decks, etc. So that's where you can go if you want to take a look into that. So with that being said, usually the first place that I think players should immediately go to, especially if they are new to this game or new to the world of Cards and Castles in general, I recommend hitting the campaign ASAP. I mentioned before that this game does not have any sort of immediate tutorial missions. The actual tutorial is found within the campaign, within the first 2 chapters, I believe, the Druid 1 and Druid 2. We'll actually be going through those here on the channel, just to give you guys a bit of gameplay to digest as we're going through this. But that is where everything initially starts off for you. If you already know what you're doing, though, battle and deck builder are certainly some other great options to go into. I assume that once we, launch a full version over in early 2022, we'll have people signing up for the first time and immediately going into the battle because they've been watching, they've been learning already from all the content they've seen. But we're gonna go ahead and jump to campaign here. We're gonna look into Druid 1 and Druid 2 right now. So now jumping into Druid 1 here, I did skip a bit of the dialogue, which I am sorry. We'll get more of that later on in the video here. But this is the first Druid mission here with a simple mission objective: destroy the Doormaster. We'll get to him in a minute here. But this is basically where you start out with, or at least where I recommend you start out with in your day 1 experience. This is where you're going to have a first look at some of the cards here. As you'll see on my screen, you've got the Spiny, the Hunter, the Sunflower, and the Rabbit. We'll actually be keeping this because this is a nice curve overall. The 1 into 2 into 3, etc., which is not bad.
Here, That's impossible.
Thank you, Leanna, for interrupting me. But at this point, the game will display some basic tutorial information for you guys, describing to you what certain things do, how things act. I think because I might have played this before here, let me just try. Yeah, because I've played this before, it's not going to give me that same tutorial information because, you know, I've been playing actually for quite a few hours now. But you gotta get the idea of, at this point now, you'll be feeding, or getting fed the basic information on how the game works. Things like the summon phases, the combat phases, cards, how to place them, how to move them, the resources. It all kind of gets explained to you over the course. And of course, if you get any of the information here, there are great tooltips that you could see throughout the screen here. You get things like your goals, your mana explained to you, the round system, how that all works out here. And you, of course, get information on all of the cards if you hover over them. Simple as that. We're going to go ahead here and continue on our mission here because we do actually have to get through the campaign on our end. We'll be making some campaign videos in the coming weeks here to kind of give you guys a little campaign help for any of you guys who might be stuck on certain levels here. We're just going to go ahead and move around. What I really like about this dynamic here, at least this specific campaign mission.
More of these monstrous abominations. How?
I'm going to let her interrupt me again. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. But I do like some of these campaign missions because, as you can see, no castle to worry about. You're kind of focused in on the units, which is cool. In the meantime, though, we'll get our hunters going. We also are on the first attack here. I guess we can go ahead and bop things around a bit. Again, it being one of the tutorial missions here, the enemies are not super hard to defeat here. Everything is pretty straightforward. You can go ahead and shoot and chomp and all that fun stuff, right? Yeah. Simple as that. And of course, we'll throw it back to us. No. Undead on the summon phase, but it doesn't matter. Not gonna go for anything. We'll set up, we'll set up our killer rabbit here. See what happens. Okay, our opponent is not going to do the super correct thing here, but we're also going to go ahead and move some things around so we don't have to worry about the Banshee aura. Just like that. Yep, simple, simple. And of course, I'm not really going into... I'm not going into super explanation mode here on how things are proceeding with the game. I was hoping to maybe save those for individual videos here. This is just mainly on a day one experience, but hopefully you are kind of picking up on how I'm performing some plays here, directions I'm taking, moves I'm making. I have been playing this game for quite a while. If I, I'm not sure if I'm super proud to admit it, but it is a true fact, so... Let's see here. What can we do? I guess we can just bop the Crypt Guardian here. Again, I'm not super worried. Go ahead and do that. Move the Sunflower up as well. But yeah, just kind of going through the motions here. And of course, there are things that get pointed out to you as you go along. Which I think by now you probably are in sort of the regular game mode. But yeah, I mean, overall, as you see here, we're just kind of going with the motions here, enjoying the game. We're going to get smacked around, I think, a bit here, but that is okay. And again, the AI, not super strong here, but that's good for us. We'll use the wolf here to trade. That's fine. And then we'll end combat. No reason to rush anything, and then, yeah, okay, there's our objective. Okay, yes, Leanna. Why? We'll do that. And of course, that is our target door master, which you could, of course, just like in the original game, you hover over, you left click it, right click it, one of the two. You get brought up the information on the card itself. So now here I could see it's a knight. It deals damage, or it fears enemies when it damages enemies. Simple as that. And then you get all these other identifiers here on the keywords. We'll go ahead and follow up with the ranger here, because I think that should be enough to end the game. I think. I don't know. That is not going to do it. Damn. Most of this should just clear it off, though. Yeah, we got it. You just bop there. And then let's hit Leanna speak to us. Will Leanna speak to us? Well, I guess I have to continue on with the dialogue. But she interrupted me more than enough times throughout the mission. I think let's go ahead and skip all that. We'll jump to campaign mission number 2, Druid Chapter 2, and give you guys some more insight on these missions. So, of course, now completing Druids 1, we have unlocked Druid 2. And just like before, you'll see a mission objective, simply destroy the enemy castle. I believe this is a normal mission, which plays like a regular game of C&C2, one that you would find in multiplayer. But let's go ahead and take another look into this. We're going to go ahead and swap out a little bit of cards here, see if we can get another thing better. Ooh, bear hogs. All right, love to see it.
Grassland denizens, lend us your support.
Are we going to summon vines? What are we doing? Oh. No, we summoned animals. Which I guess it does happen throughout the campaign. And I believe here they might talk to you more about some aspects here. Like I said before, unfortunately, all of my, I guess, tutorial stuff has been completed. So we're not really showing that off for you guys here. What are we going to do? I think we'll just do this. Pop that, take a bite back here, and then we'll pass. Try to get the back attack on the Guardian here. And of course, the history tab is also nice. It gives you a little bit of a recap here on what happened. Ooh, I think history still might be a little bit broken. We'll save that as a bug report for later. But of course, we're going to keep going here. I'm going to summon the Bear Hog, because why not? Bear Hog, nice. And we get our spiny popped. That's a little sad. But we'll also be able to clean up this warrior nice and simple. We can take a chomp out of it with the overpower from our rabbit here. Rabbit looking pretty nice if I do say so myself. I think his eyes got updated. His eyes were never that open before. Interesting. Without another bear hog, nothing else really can't do otherwise. Into the Ramrest. Alright, good to see our Ramrest pal. I guess we can do this here. We can go bear hog. Can knock this around again, the overpower. And then we can put the bear hog starting to chip into a castle. And I'm not sure if the tutorial actually will start telling you different things. But hey, it's fine. No big deal. Barbarian! Love to see that art update. Fantastic stuff. Gonna go ahead, plop down a bear. I almost said slop. Not sure that would be the correct terminology here. Go ahead and bop in, bop in. A little slow but effective chip for sure. And as you can see, I mean, the enemy is not necessarily too threatening, too overpowering at this point in the game. That is because these are tutorial missions meant to help you guys understand the game more, learn the basic mechanics and all that fun stuff. Why would you do that? Well, of course, lean into the owlbear here. We'll pop that in. Doesn't really matter at this point. We'll do a little weaken of the grudge bear. We'll pass it back. Ooh, can I end off with the hawk? Let's end off with the hawk. Go ahead and pass it back. Rabbit will die. That's a shame. Oh, we are going to end it off. Let's see if I can show off this little thing. Oh, we can. Can purge chain lightning, by the way. Just so that's a neat little combo you can learn here in the day 1 experience. But of course, that will complete our second tutorial mission. And as you can see, we're getting some shard counts for winning this matchup here, completing this campaign mission. I'll explain more about these when we get into the deck builder portion, but that is something to kind of take note of here as we now complete our second campaign mission, and by now we should have completed our sort of basic tutorial of the game. So at this point, you can either continue in the campaign or take a look at some other features here. We're going to go ahead and digest some of those other features for you, though, and explore a bit more of the game. So now that we're back in the main menu here, we've learned a bit more about the game through the tutorial, which, you know, I didn't see it, but that's okay. We can now explore some of the other options the game has to offer. You can, of course, like I mentioned, continue with the campaign and go through that whole process here, because, of course, the campaign itself, I think, is a neat way to learn more about the cards individually here as you progress through each faction. We have all of the faction campaigns, by the way, which I don't think was the original plan for launch, but, you know, we do now, so be sure to use that to your advantage. However, when you are ready, per se, for a multiplayer matchup here, or want to get more into that, you could, of course, click our little battle button right here. Now, just like last time, there would be some information that would pop up here, explaining what some of the different modes are. We'll run through them really quickly just to give you an idea. You could, of course, find a quick matchup here, which is essentially the same thing as the matchmaking from CNC 1. Right now, I think it's having a little trouble, but there are lobbies which should populate, which should give players an avenue to play. And as you can see, mine's still going strong here from earlier. I made this at the start of launch. It's still being used for games at this moment. You also have practice versus an AI. Like in the original game, you can just, of course, practice against a bot here to test some hands, test some strategies, whatever you want to do. That is, of course, what that function is for. And then you have replays, which I think we have a little bit here. Yeah, definitely have some replays already populated from earlier today. But these are essentially where you'll be able to review your multiplayer matches here. It doesn't record the campaign, obviously, because that's not really super significant enough to record for. But if you, of course, had some little interactions or gameplay that you want to take another look at, you can, of course, jump into here and review them, which is great because it also records people who you spectate as well. Maybe we'll jump into a spectator momentarily here, kind of give you an idea of what that is like. But this is just simply a place where you can view your recorded matchups here and dig a bit more into them, whether you want to use them for content creation, learning. Again, however you want to use them, they are here for you to view, and I think they have a file view as well, which I think is more for developer purposes, but you can view them in the files if you so desire. And then, of course, you can create a lobby or join a friend down here. This is where you'll be able to make your own sort of places where you and your friends can maybe battle if you want to. You got public options and then friend and invite only options as well, which is fantastic. And then, of course, you can enter a name for your lobby here. And once you are in a lobby here, we're going to go ahead and take a sort of gander at this one. You'll see it's a great place for you to spectate matches that are going on right now. We've got a couple going on, which is really cool to see. Things like we can, of course, spectate on this one, and okay, you got a couple things happening here. But say you don't want to watch this one anymore, you can go ahead and switch over. You've got this match over here. This one's being completely dominated by the red side. Very interesting to see that. But, of course, you kind of get the idea here. And each time you spectate those matches as well, you can, of course, earn shards as you progress here. Very sort of simple when you take a look at it like that. But, of course, that is not the only... or that is not the last feature we can look at today. I gotta make sure my English is strong. So with that being said, with a quick gander into multiplayer, let's go ahead and take a look at the final section that you'll have access to, the deck builder. Now, once you do indeed click the deck builder button, you'll be brought to a screen that kind of gives off similar vibes to the original deck builder. Kind of the same backdrop and all that. But what's different is that you're actually presented with your decks first and foremost, rather than your collection here. And there are some notes to keep to take note of here. Notes to take note of. Good English. Realistically, this place is just here to as a spot to help organize your deck lists. You can, of course, move them back and forth between one another here, which I think is a really great organizational tool that a lot of players are excited about. And then, yeah, you can, of course, view the contents of your deck by clicking on it. We'll hide some of the deck stuff we're doing. Instead, I'm going to show you what the default decks are, which you're always presented with as two options at the beginning of the game here. You've got the aggressive deck, and of course, you've got the defensive deck, as well as a plethora of other additional cards. I'm pretty sure that not all the cards they give you are just thrown in here at the start. So you do have some other options to work with here if you want to explore the game a little more. But alongside that, you can, of course, just view your collection entirely by going towards the craft menu. And here, much like the original game, you'll be able to take a look at all the cards you have available to you. Simple as that, really. You can, of course, choose to craft some as well. There are some prices, which I believe... Can we get the prices right now? 10 and 5 are for the commons. I'm trying to find a rare here. The rares are 25 and 15 to craft and disenchant, respectively. And I think the legends are 50 and 30, which is not bad. not super bad from, or at least compared to the original game. And you do get, I believe, 500 stars to start out your CNC2 experience with. So right off the bat, you can probably create at least one deck composed of cards that are not in your original collection, which is cool. It gives players an opportunity to experience decks or a certain type of deck that maybe they want to really try out for their first few matches of multiplayer. And, rather than going for the standard aggressive or defensive deck. Nothing wrong with those two decks, though. They do perform very well. They do get the shard flow going, so you can, of course, build more decks out of that. Because, again, every time you play multiplayer, you do get shards. Of course, that adds up here. As you can see, we've got about 739. We actually made I think we made a deck using 400 off the start here. And now, as you can see, if we got 700 now, we've made back on our investment quite a bit here. So it's always great to kind of see that sort of generous economy here to help players progress the game and unlock more cards and more strategies for them to play with here. So that's really cool to see. And of course, as we continue on, you can, of course, filter out some cards here, do a little bit of random crafting if you want to. For 100 shards, it kind of presents itself like a pack. So technically there are packs in this game, but no microtransactions needed for you to spend it, or you can create a pack through the shards you earn. So that's kind of a cool little feature they added if you are more of a pack person in your card games. And of course, you can import decks, which I believe you have deck codes, which you get from the export. If you export the deck here, you can copy the code. You can, of course, import it, so you have that full deck available to you. Very helpful when recreating decks you might see online or in the community if you want to give them a try. It's very easy. Click at 2 buttons will get you the deck rather than having to go through individually clicking some cards over and over again. Just kind of get that feeling going. But overall, that is the deck builder. Again, things that you may have already seen, but we're showcasing this to you now because it is important for players to learn as part of their day one experience here. So, with deck builder covered, yep, again, good. We are going to take a look into a simple review of CNC2 for folks who might be on the fence of buying it, just as sort of our final piece here to kind of send you guys off into the world. So let's go ahead and take a look at my review of CNC2. So we're going to expand the face cam a little bit here to give you guys more of a one-on-one feel. As we discussed sort of my review of Cards and Castles 2. Now, as I've mentioned before, we've put a lot of hours into the beta of CNC2. I've seen a lot of this game, some forms of this game that players will never be able to experience just because of how early they were. So, we're going to go ahead and give you guys some quick pros and cons currently in CNC2 to help you guys make a decision on whether or not you want to invest in the game or not. We'll start out with the pros because I think the pros... Actually, no. We'll start out with the cons because it's better to end off on a positive than a negative. So, starting off with con number 1. And by the way, I did write a lot more of this over on Steam. So, if you want to... visit the Steam page for this game. I left a review which has a lot of what I'm talking about, maybe a little bit in more detail for it. Also some other points that I feel like are self-explanatory that I won't mention here, but again, necessary if you are looking to make a decision on buying it or not. So we'll start out with con number 1. The game certainly has a lot of details to it, a lot of intricacies to the interactions and whatnot. And I think the line of easy to learn, hard to master is very, very applicable here. I know even to this day, I maybe forget on certain combos and, tricks and shenanigans that maybe some others will remember. If you have the time to do it, learning all the various ins and outs can be heavily rewarded in this game because it'll give you that sort of advantage in knowledge that will help you progress through multiplayer and sort of be successful in that regard. So, if you do have the time, it's great. That'll help you out. But I know not everyone has that time. So kind of being able to, easy to learn is good, but hard to master. Maybe someone wants to get really good at it, but it can't devote the time. They'll maybe find some struggles with it, which I certainly understand to that being the case here. But overall, a little small con there. Additionally, the multiplayer is a bit... Oh, well, this is con number 2, actually. The multiplayer is a bit underdeveloped at the moment. The game, unfortunately, lacks a form of leaderboard or sort of high-end competition that I think C1 kind of left us off at, CNC1 had, which is to be expected for a game that is sort of brand new and in early access here. They did not have the resources nor the time to develop that in time for an early access launch, but it's something that I imagine will be fixed up for when the full version releases come, next year. You'll be able to see more of a sort of, how do I know who's the best, where are the leaderboards, how am I doing? Things of that nature will probably be coming later down the line here, but for early access, it just wasn't something that they could do in time. And so for now, that might be a con to some people, because if, they want to just jump into the high end stuff, they know what they're doing, but find that maybe there isn't a big outlet for it yet, that could be a little annoying, and I understand that. But overall, those are the only 2 cons I actually have for the game as of now. There might be more as we progress further and further into the game, but looking at it overall and with how much time and experience I've got in the game, those are the really only major cons I'm able to visually point out to people at this moment here. So moving from that, let's go ahead and talk about the pros that this game has. Well, the first pro, the campaign gives a brand new single player avenue, which I think is incredible. For players who maybe aren't big into multiplayer, I recommend trying this just for the campaign itself. It's so good. It's so well done. The story is there. The challenge is there. And it's just incredible. I recommend that players, if maybe they're not big into multiplayer, please take a look into the campaign. It's so cool. Even if you're not going to play multiplayer ever in the game, the campaign is still a great avenue to explore. And I think that brings a whole new life of players into the game, which is fantastic. Following that up, no microtransactions can be found in the game currently. You buy the game for one full price up front, and you are presented with the entirety of the game, including the full campaign and access to every card. Granted, you have to earn every card through gameplay, but that's really why you're playing the game anyway, to kind of earn that collection, to grow your knowledge, to grow your understanding of the cards and the games that are happening. So that is really a huge benefit, to not have to put down extra money. And if there are any sort of cosmetics in the future that might release, that might be a very small price point, just to kind of support the studio and to keep it running, which, again, very optional. It won't have any sort of gameplay consequences, so we've been told. It'll be mainly for cosmetics and all that fun stuff. And then I think one of the last things that was a major pro to me was just the fact that this game, while being different and while having sort of a unique style to it, it kind of also maintains the original, and it's creates this bit of a blend that I think is really enjoyable for especially the veteran players. I know when CNC2 was first announced, there was fear and concern that the game would take a different direction entirely, and that kind of scared a few players. And while the direction that the game is in now certainly has raised some eyebrows for some, I think the majority have come around to the idea that, the gameplay is fantastic. Like, being able to, have a similar style to C1, but also switch it up to give players and veterans that more, a bit more of a challenge, is something that I think a lot of us really, really love. And while you might not be a CNC1 veteran here, I do think the game has a style to it and a feel to it that's very enjoyable and fun to pick up and play. If you don't intend to master it, that's, completely fine. As a casual who wants to play a card game, maybe just, quickly, this is a great option for you. And of course, once the mobile comes out, it'll be easier to do that from anywhere in the world. So overall, that is my quick review of the game. So let's go ahead and send this video off properly. So now we come to the final question here. Do I think CNC2 is worth your time and, more importantly, your money to invest in? And honestly, I think so, yes. And I do genuinely believe that. Is there a little bias from me testing the game? Maybe. But overall, I think the team has done an absolutely incredible job to bring us a brand new, modern-esque CNC world to really enjoy and, cause chaos in. I don't know what we're going to do in it. I mean, I expect someone to make a game-breaking deck at some point. I don't know where it's going to be. But I digress. I think CNC2 is definitely worth the time and cash for a incredible game such as itself. I really I can't say enough positive things about it. And be sure to support the game if you do want it for yourself. Be sure to buy on Steam. Also, be sure to check all of their media links, Twitter, Discord, all of that fun stuff. I think the Discord link is down below. I tend to include that now as well. But I mean, overall, if you guys did like the video, if you found something useful out of it, or you know, are convinced in one direction or the other, be sure to let me know by leaving your thoughts down in the comment section below, as well as liking the video if you did enjoy it, share with your friends, and of course subscribe if you're new or haven't done so already to the channel. It supports us a lot here. It helps the channel grow and it keeps us going for hopefully a while. So yeah, be sure to look forward to more C and C2 content here on the channel. We'll probably be producing some things here and there. Very excited, very interesting to see what direction I'm going to be taking some content in. We're going to have to figure it out, but we'll get there. Overall, I just can't wait. A lot of great things happening right now, and hopefully you guys will stick around and join us on our journey. But with that being said, that is going to do it for me for now. So, until next time, guys, stay gaming.